5 U.S. Navy bombers vanish without a trace. A massive cargo ship with 306 souls on board disappears. The Bermuda Triangle. For decades, it's been the world's greatest supernatural enigma. But what if the mystery isn't a mystery at all? What if the legends are just manufactured myths? This week, we're diving deep into the records, the science, and the deadly natural forces that explain everything, from rogue waves and design flaws to flawed logic and bad reporting. We're moving past the hype to expose the statistical illusion that created the Bermuda Triangle. Get ready to find out why the truth is far more fascinating than the fiction.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling one of the world's most persistent puzzles, the Bermuda Triangle.
That's right.
You know, that stretch of the North Atlantic, kind of between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. It's legendary.
Absolutely. So many stories.
Yeah, ships and planes disappearing, seemingly without a trace. And the popular idea is always that something weird, maybe even supernatural, is going on.
And that's what we want to unpack, really. Our mission today is to dive into all sorts of sources, scientific stuff, historical records, popular articles, you name it.
Okay.
And the aim is to separate out the legend from the facts, explore the real explanations, so you, the listener, can get a properly informed view beyond just the sensational headlines.
Right, move past the hype.
Exactly. Uncover some truths that might actually surprise you.
So where did this whole Bermuda Triangle idea even come from? It feels like it's been around forever.
Well, not quite forever. The actual term, Bermuda Triangle, seemed to have been coined back in 1964.
Oh,
Yeah, by a writer named Vincent Gaddis in, I think it was Argosy magazine. But it really, really blew up about 10 years later.
That would be Charles Berlitz, right? His book.
That's the one. 1974, The Bermuda Triangle. It was a massive bestseller. Went global. And Berlitz, well, he definitely leaned into the more fantastic ideas.
Like Atlantis. I remember hearing that.
Exactly. He suggested maybe the lost city was down there, using its crystal energies or something to interfere with ships and planes.
Oh, okay.
But what's interesting is while Berlitz was pushing this, you had major institutions.
Yeah.
Think NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Okay.
And also Lloyd's of London, the big marine insurers. They were already saying, hold on, there are probably other explanations.
Right, more down-to-earth ones.
For decades, they've been pushing back against this sort of supernatural reputation that just seemed to stick to the area.
So, okay, if it's not Atlantis tech, what's the scientific take? What's the main counter-argument?
Well, the core argument put forward by people like the Australian scientist Carl Kruszelnicki, and NOAA agrees, is pretty simple, actually.
Yeah.
There isn't really mystery to solve. He basically says, look, the number of ships and planes lost in the Triangle area, it's proportionally about the same as anywhere else in the ocean with similar traffic.
Ah, so it's just because it's a busy area.
Exactly. It's a major shipping route, lots of air traffic.
Yeah.
So you're naturally going to have some incidents. The sheer volume makes it seem like more, but percentage-wise, not really exceptional. It's almost a statistical illusion.
Okay, that makes sense. But then why did the mystery itself become so huge if the numbers don't back it up?
That's where you get into the work of researchers like Larry Kusha. He did a really deep dive, went back and looked at all these famous, mysterious disappearances.
And what did he find?
He found, well, a lot of it was based on mistakes or poor research, sometimes just outright made-up stuff, or what he called mystery mongering.
Mystery mongering.
Yeah, like deliberately playing up the unknown. His key findings were, first, like Kruszelnicki said, the number of losses isn't significantly higher per volume of traffic.
Okay.
Second, many of these disappearances happen during really bad storms, but these sensational accounts often just left that part out.
Convenient.
Very. He also found numbers got inflated. Some ships reported missing actually turned up later, but the update never got reported properly.
Ah.
And some incidents people wrote about, like a supposed plane crash off Daytona Beach in 1937. Kusha checked local records, apparently. That just never happened.
Wow.
So his conclusion was pretty blunt. The legend is basically a manufactured mystery, kept alive by writers using bad info, flawed logic, and a whole lot of sensationalism.
That's quite something. And you mentioned Lloyd's of London earlier.
Right. Since the 70s, they've basically agreed with this. They don't charge higher insurance premiums for ships going through the Triangle. If it were truly extra dangerous, you bet they would.
Good point.
And the U.S. Coast Guard, same story. They've stated their records contradict a lot of the incidents written about by the Triangle authors. They have a great quote, something like, the The combined forces of nature and human fallibility outdo even the most incredulous science fiction.
I like that. Nature and human error.
And they have specific examples. Take the tanker SS VA Fog sank in 1972. One author claimed everyone vanished except the captain, found in his cabin.
Okay, sounds mysterious.
But the Coast Guard report, they photographed the wreck, recovered several bodies, and here's the kicker. The VA Fog sank off the coast of Texas.
Texas, that's nowhere near the triangle.
Exactly. It shows how facts can get twisted to fit the story.
It really does. And then there's the fact that, life goes on inside the triangle itself.
Like Freeport in the Bahamas.
Right. It's got a huge shipyard, a busy airport, like 50,000 plates a year, hosts over 1 million tourists annually.
And no reports of cars vanishing from the parking lot or tourists disappearing from their hotel rooms.
Exactly. It's just a normal, busy place.
So the real puzzle isn't so much what happened to the lost vessels, but maybe how these stories got so big and lasted so long.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's look at some of the really famous cases. Maybe start with Flight 19. That's probably the most iconic one.
Definitely. Flight 19, December 5th, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers on a training flight out of Florida. 14 aviators lost.
Just vanished. Right. That's the story.
That's the story. But the Navy's own investigation, at least initially, pointed to the flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor.
What about him?
They concluded he got disoriented. After his compasses apparently failed, he mistook some islands below for the Florida Keys and basically led his flight further out to sea, not back towards land.
Oh, wow. Was there evidence for that?
Well, Taylor actually had a history of getting lost during flights, apparently 3 times during World War II, and radio transmissions picked up that day showed a lot of confusion. One of the student pilots apparently suggested flying west, which would have taken them home.
But Taylor didn't.
Seems not. Then the weather got worse. They were running low on fuel. The most likely scenario is they had a ditch in the ocean.
Tragic. And wasn't there a search plane lost, too?
Yes, a Martin PBM Mariner flying boat sent out to look for Flight 19. It also disappeared with its 13 crew.
So that adds to the mystery.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
There was a report from a tanker in the area that night. They saw a huge explosion in the sky, flames leaping like 100 feet high, right around where the Mariner would have been.
An explosion.
Yeah, those PBM Mariner were sometimes called flying gas tanks. A leak could easily lead to a mid-air explosion, so likely unrelated to whatever happened to Flight 19 itself. Just terrible timing. And despite loads of searches over the years, no confirmed wreckage of Flight 19 has ever been found.
So human error, instrument issues, bad weather, bad luck. Sounds like a plausible, if awful, chain of events. What about something older, like the USS Cyclops? That ship was huge.
Huge. A U.S. Navy collier, basically a coal carrier, vanished March 1918, 306 people on board, carrying over 10,000 tons of manganese ore.
Gone without a trace, too.
Pretty much. But again, there are factors. It was known to be overloaded, significantly, and one of its engines had a cracked cylinder before it even left port.
Not ideal.
Not at all. It made an unscheduled stop in Barbados, captain demanding more fuel. The official Navy line is it probably sank in an unexpected storm.
Okay.
But there are stronger theories about structural failure. See, the Cyclops had 2 sister ships, Proteus and Nereus. Both also vanished during World War II, also carrying heavy loads of ore.
The same type of ship?
Yep. Later analysis suggested a design flaw. The main support beams, the I-beams, could corrode, especially with acidic cargo like ore. Under stress, like in a storm with shifting cargo, the hull could basically just give way, collapse suddenly.
So it could have just broken apart and sunk very quickly.
That's a strong possibility. There were some rumors about the captain, too, German birth name, history of abusing crew, alleged pro-German sympathies, leading to theories of mutiny or scuttling.
But no proof.
No real evidence ever turned up. The structural failure theory, especially given what happened to its sister ships, seems the most likely.
Okay, so again, potential design flaws, overloading, maybe bad weather, not so much mysterious forces. What about those ghost ship stories? Like the Ellen Austin.
Ah, yes, the Ellen Austin, 1881. Story goes she found a derelict ship, put a prize crew aboard to sail it back.
Right.
Then a storm hit, they got separated, and the derelict ship with the prize crew was never seen again. The first part, finding the derelict, seems true, but there's a second part to the legend.
Which is?
That the Ellen Austin found the same derelict ship again later, empty again, put another prize crew on it, and they vanished too. That second part is highly questionable, likely just embellishment over time.
Okay. And the Carolee Daring found run aground, crew gone.
1921, off Cape Hatteras.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one points pretty strongly towards mutiny. Or maybe piracy, but mutiny seems more likely.
Why mute?
There was known bad blood between the first mate, Charles McClellan, and the captain, W.B. Wormel. McClellan had reportedly made threats. Evidence found on board suggested the crew left in a hurry, but not necessarily due to weather. Mutiny fits the known facts better than supernatural causes.
It seems like the more you look, the more these famous cases start to unravel into, well, understandable, sometimes tragic events.
That's often the case. Same with aviation incidents often linked to the triangle, like the Star Tiger and Star Ariel.
Those were planes, right? Post-war.
Yeah, 1948 and 1949. 2 British Tudor aircraft. Both vanished without a trace, no distress calls. The official report for the Star Tiger basically said they had no idea what happened, called it baffling.
So that one is a mystery.
Yeah, unexplained doesn't automatically mean supernatural. The Tudor aircraft itself had, let's say, a troubled history. Design flaws, prone to issues, a high accident rate overall, so catastrophic failure of some kind is certainly possible.
Okay. And the Douglas DC-3 in 1948 vanished going from San Juan to Miami.
Right, again, vanished. But the investigation noted several contributing factors. A landing gear warning light wasn't working right. The plane's batteries were low, which would have affected radio communication.
Communication issues. Never good.
Definitely not. It was also slightly overloaded. And critically, they might not have received updated weather info about a significant wind shift en route. So, could have been blown off course, run out of fuel, ditched in the ocean. Again, no wreckage found, but that's sadly common in the deep ocean.
And those 2 military planes, the KC-135s and 63.
The Stratotankers. The story got spun as mysterious because wreckage was supposedly found in 2 spots, like 160 miles apart.
Yeah.
Turned out the second wreckage site was just a big mat of seaweed and driftwood that got mistaken for debris from the air. The planes actually collided midair and crashed. Tragic, but not mysterious.
So another case of the story getting twisted, what about the Connemara IV, the yacht found adrift?
1955. The legend says the crew vanished after surviving 3 hurricanes at sea.
Sounds dramatic.
The reality. It happened during Hurricane Janet. The yacht simply dragged its moorings while empty, got blown out to sea, and was later found adrift. No crew ever vanished because no crew was on board.
Okay, so across the board ships, planes, it seems like when you dig into the specifics, the mystery often dissolves into known factors.
Exactly. Natural forces, mechanical failures, human error, sometimes just bad reporting or deliberate sensationalism.
So let's talk about those natural forces. If it's not supernatural, what is going on in that region that could, contribute to things going wrong?
Right. And it's fascinating because these are real, powerful forces, often misunderstood. Take compass variations. It gets mentioned a lot as being weird in the triangle.
Yeah, like compasses spinning wildly.
Well, not quite spinning wildly, but navigators have known for centuries that magnetic north, where your compass points, isn't the same as true geographic north. That difference is called variation or declination. And it changes depending on where you are on Earth. The triangle is in an area where magnetic north and true north can line up, or the variation can be significant.
So what does that mean practically?
It means if you're not carefully calculating and correcting for that variation, especially back before GPS, you could end up miles off course without realizing it. It's a standard navigational challenge, not a paranormal event.
Right, so it requires skill and attention, not magic. What else is significant there?
The Gulf Stream. This thing is immense. It's like a massive, fast-flowing river within the ocean.
Wow.
It can move at speeds up to maybe 5 or 6 miles per hour. Now imagine something goes wrong. A plane ditches, a ship sinks. That current can carry debris, or even survivors, far away from the last known position very, very quickly.
Making search and rescue incredibly hard.
Exactly. And erasing the evidence trail. Plus, just navigating against or across that current is a challenge in itself.
Okay, powerful current. What about the weather? It has a reputation, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The weather in that region can be incredibly volatile. You get sudden, violent thunderstorms. Waterspouts, basically tornadoes forming over water, are pretty common.
Tornadoes at sea. Yeah, that's up bad.
Definitely. And then there's something meteorologists sometimes call air bombs or microbursts. These can come down from certain cloud formations, hitting the sea with winds up to like 170 mile per hour, creating enormous waves, maybe 45 feet high or more.
Whoa.
We've seen similar things happen in the North Sea. Plus, you have the risk of rogue waves, those freakishly large waves, maybe up to 100 feet, that can appear seemingly out of nowhere. And of course, the whole area is prone to tropical storms and hurricanes during the season.
So conditions can go from calm to catastrophic very quickly.
Extremely quickly. These aren't just minor storms. They can overwhelm even large modern vessels if they're caught unprepared.
And if something does sink, what happens then?
That's where the underwater topography comes in. The ocean floor in parts of the triangle goes from a relatively shallow continental shelf to plunging down into some of the deepest trenches in the Atlantic Ocean. We're talking thousands and thousands of feet deep.
So wreckage could just disappear into the abyss.
Precisely. Sinking into those depths makes finding anything extremely difficult, if not impossible, especially for older wrecks.
Okay. What about that theory, I think I've heard it, about methane gas bubbles?
Ah, yes, the methane hydrates theory. The idea is that there are large deposits of frozen methane gas trapped in sediments on the seafloor.
Uh-huh.
And if there were a sudden release and eruption of gas, it could create this huge area of frothy, bubbly water.
And that would sink ships.
Potentially. The frothy water is much less dense, so a ship could lose buoyancy very rapidly and sink almost straight down, without warning. Lab experiments with scale models have shown it's possible.
So could that be it?
Well, it's an interesting theory, but the U.S. Geological Survey, the USGS, they've looked into it. Their assessment is that there haven't likely been any large-scale methane hydrate releases in the Bermuda Triangle area for something like the last 15,000 years.
Oh. So probably not the explanation for recent disappearances then.
Less likely, yeah. Possible for smaller, localized releases maybe,
Yeah.
but probably not the big, overarching cause some have suggested.
Okay. So we have strong currents, extreme weather, navigational challenges, deep water. It sounds like a combination of factors that make it a challenging place, even without invoking the supernatural.
That's really the picture that emerges from the scientific and historical data. It's a confluence of natural hazards and high traffic volume.
But even with all these explanations, the idea of the Bermuda Triangle, the legend, is still so powerful, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It has a life of its own. And interestingly, the region itself, particularly Bermuda, has kind of learned to embrace the lore, even while promoting the reality.
How so?
Well, obviously with modern navigation, GPS, much better weather forecasting, flying or sailing through the area today is routine and safe for the vast majority.
Sure.
But if you visit Bermuda, you can definitely still engage with the whole triangle legend. There's the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute, BUEI. They have exhibits, including one specifically on the triangle. And the National Museum of Bermuda is full of shipwreck artifacts and maritime history because, factually, Bermuda does have a huge number of shipwrecks around it, dating back centuries, more per square mile than pretty much anywhere.
So you can literally dive on history there.
You can. Shipwreck diving is big. You can also, visit Albies Point in Hamilton, which marks the northern tip of the triangle, or get a view from Gibbs Hill Lighthouse.
And they lean into it commercially too, I bet.
Oh, yeah. There's a restaurant called Lost in the Triangle. You can get Bermuda Triangle-themed ice cream. I think it's rum raisin and coconut flavor. There's even jewelry inspired by the triangle.
Huh. Okay.
So the culture definitely plays with the mystery, even though the actual danger isn't what the legends claim anymore.
So wrapping this all up then, what's the final verdict on the enduring mystery of the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, after our deep dive, looking at the reports, the science, the history, it seems pretty clear. The disappearances aren't really that mysterious in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
They're largely attributable to that potent mix. Challenging natural conditions, the limitations of technology at the time for many incidents, unavoidable human error, and simply the high volume of traffic passing through.
So the mystery itself was constructed.
In many ways, yes. It looks like a product of sensational storytelling, maybe some genuine misunderstanding of the environment and navigation, all amplified over time. A manufactured mystery, as Kusha put it.
And yet, here's the really interesting part, I think. Despite all this evidence, all the debunking by scientists, by insurers, by the Coast Guard, the Bermuda Triangle still fascinates people. It's still talked about as this great unsolved enigma.
It absolutely is.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why are we as humans so drawn to these kinds of dramatic, mysterious narratives? Even when the factual explanations, which are pretty interesting in their own right, rogue waves, structural failures, navigational errors are right there. Why do we sometimes prefer the mystery?
That's a great question.
Something for you to mull over.